Go ahead.
All right, welcome into Press Box Live on a beautiful sunny day in Baltimore. 70 degrees on this Monday afternoon, the 14th of April. And we are on the air. Our baseball chat, weekly baseball chat. The old left-hander Ross Grimsley is with us from down in sunny Sarasota, Bradenton area.
Yes, it
And of
is.
course, managing editor of PressBox and PressBoxOnline.com, Luke Jackson is with us. And Luke, we have a new paper due out Wednesday, which means it'll probably be delivered tomorrow.
Right. I wrote the cover story. It is about Tommy John surgery and what it's like to come back from Tommy John and the implications of so many pitchers getting hurt, particularly major elbow injuries, and what that means for the game, what that means for their careers, and all the tentacles that come out of Tommy John. And so that's the cover story. And we've got a lot of other good stuff. Bo Smolka looking back at last year's draft class with the Ravens and what they could do this coming season. What else? We got a lot of college sports. Buzz Williams is the new coach at Maryland. We got a
Yep.
story about that. Got a lot of college lacrosse. What else? What else?
Okay.
Nice little special section about Sammy Basayo,
Okay.
who is at Norfolk, big catching prospect, top five overall prospect according to some, and a lot more stuff. But that's
Anybody in that cover story you want to thank that gave you some time to talk to you, or
uh everyone really.
yeah,
I
well,
talked to you got me in touch with a Dr. Forthman, who does Tommy John's here locally with a
yep.
lot of college and pro arms. So he
And you
was
talked to one of the Duquettes. Was it
Jim Duquette. Jim
Jim Duquette?
Duquette.
Okay.
So, but yeah, so
All right.
I thought it turned out well.
Did you find out the burning question about Tommy John surgery? How did Ross Grimsley pitch for like 16 years in the big leagues and avoid Tommy John surgery?
That's a secret.
That's a secret.
That's a secret no one wants to know. I mean, there's a lot of us. There's several of us that never had it, but do you think they would ask us now? Not a chance.
Not a chance.
Not a
Not a
chance.
chance.
They don't want to know.
Was it birds cooking? Was it birds cooking?
Oh,
Was it
that had
something?
that helped a little bit.
Yeah.
That had something to do with it. Yeah.
Um, hey, let's start reminding folks again, we're brought to you by the Costas Inn. And again, we share our thoughts and sympathies with the Triantopoulos family at the passing of the main enchilada of the whole thing. Costas Triantopoulos passed away a couple weeks ago now, but food is still great. The hospitality is fantastic, and big news coming within the next 2 weeks, probably, that the Costas in Timonium will be opening at the OTB at the Timonium Race Course, where they expect to do gangbusters business there. Guys, where we start with the Orioles, they are certainly not out of anything. They're only 2.5 games out of first place, but they are in last place. Is this where we expected them, Ross?
No, I don't think so. But you know, you knew that the big question mark was the pitching, and that
And the
hadn't
pitching
failed.
and the pitching health.
Oh yeah, the health and you know, and some of these guys coming back. I mean, I think they're just starting to throw some bullpens. So it's going to be a little bit of time because they're going to have to go. They got to face hitters, then they got to face game situations, then they got to probably go down to Double A or Triple A and pitch and get ready. So they're a ways away. The thing is, it's 15 games into the season. And you've seen some things that should need to change. And
Does
you know, like I said,
anybody particularly scare you yet, Ross, in terms of just our division? I
oh,
mean, what
any
you
team,
see,
no, I mean
yeah,
it's amazing how I don't think it doesn't seem as strong as it has been in the past, and everybody is equal, but everybody seems to have the same situation, and that's pitching, especially starting pitching. The Yankees, you know, the Orioles are what 29th with earned run average for their starters. The Yankees are 30th at with a 540, the Orioles 530. So that's pretty interesting. But everybody's kind of in the same boat, and whoever can, I think, put together a starting rotation will have a chance to move, pretty quickly.
Luke, the starting rotation, it suffered a huge blow, and especially in light of losing Corbin Burns in the offseason. Then you turned, well, immediately you were saying, well, but Grayson's ready to take that next step, and he's given them nothing so far. And, his career now is starting to take that kind of shape where you don't know what you're going to get. It's like the box of chocolates,
Right.
sometimes you pick a good one, a good season, and sometimes you don't. But this Eflin injury really, really puts a damper on things.
Absolutely, and it's the last thing they needed,
Yeah,
really, as far as pitching goes, because he was throwing the ball well. When he left the game in Arizona with shoulder, I think they called it shoulder fatigue, and ended up being
fatigue
a
at the
lat
time.
strain. He had thrown, I think, 6 innings of one-run ball or 6 innings of scoreless ball, whatever it was. He was well on his way to throwing 8 innings and saving the bullpen that day. Yeah, I mean that's really unfortunate, and I thought that he threw the ball well in spring training, and then right on opening day continues it. And one of the concerns that we had this offseason was the health of the expected starters.
Yeah,
Because Eflin, I believe, had 2 stints on the injured list last year. Nothing major,
yeah.
but enough to miss some time.
Grayson
Grayson
had, of course.
Rodriguez
Yeah,
missed the final 2 months, and that wasn't even his first injured list stint last season. He had two of them. But and it seemed like the the starting pitcher, and of course Dean Kramer,
yeah,
had a 6 week stint on the injured list last year as well. So it seemed like the starting pitcher who had the best track record of health was 41 years old, which is probably not where you want to be, Stan. I'm just pointing that out. And unfortunately, that's the road it's gone down. The Grayson Rodriguez thing, as you said, it's almost like you got to treat anything you get out of him as a bonus at
yeah,
this point, because we haven't seen him on a mound competitively since last July, I think.
yeah.
So, and that's really unfortunate. And
What are
because it's
you
not like his development is over, he's got to be on the mound to get better too.
right, right? What are you hearing about his situation? I mean, is there
I'm
any
not hearing
talk of?
anything.
Yeah,
I
I'm
mean,
hearing very
so
little right now.
yeah, I don't know. I don't know
And
when it's going to be back.
what's the best case scenario with Zach Eflin right now?
I don't know. Ross, you would know about mild lat strains a lot better than we would.
I tell you, well, with Rodriguez, I was just reading. He threw his second bullpen on April the 12th, so that was
Okay.
what, a couple days ago.
Yeah,
And so now, I mean, they're going to have to, like I said before, they're going to have to face live hitters. And I tell you, what scares you is the injuries that some of these guys have had, some a couple times. So that makes you kind of scratch your head a little bit. And I just don't think, with all the problems, and you, Luke, doing the thing on Tommy John surgery, most of them are, 85, 90% successful. And your second one is about 50% successful. So the injuries are mounting up, and they're just no rhyme or reason. I mean, whatever they're doing, they need to change this.
well, we're talking about two injuries today: Tommy John surgery and lat strain.
Yeah,
Ross, did you ever have a lat strain?
I had a knot in my back. Uh, I think my second year during the off season, and
Right,
that was trying to throw. Again, injuries happen when you try to throw it harder than you're capable of throwing, or than you
right,
need to throw. That's when a lot of guys get injuries. Now, this lat thing, that's in your back, and
right.
I'm not really quite sure what that's from. I don't. I had a knot in my back. Once you get a knot back there, a lot of times it's really tough to get out. It takes a little bit of time.
Did Ralph ever work on your back?
Yes, he certainly did. I tell you, somebody that was really tortured me was Mike Cuellar. He had the
Cuellar.
he had the strongest hands. He had big hands. That's the reason he had that big curveball and the
Right.
screwball. and he would get in. Any spring training, we get knots in the back of our shoulders. And soon as the only way to get it out is they had to go in and dig it out.
Yeah.
And it was painful. We'd be screaming, sweating, crying. But once it was out, you were good to go. It's just a matter of how long you wanted to wait to do that. But they would get it out. And that was, once that was done, that was good. But yeah, these injuries that are coming up with these guys, and when you're a healthier guys are 41 years old, your young guys aren't supposed to get hurt like this. But
Right.
it's
Right.
an epidemic. All right, as Stan Conte, trainer for the Giants, he has a facility in Scottsdale. His son runs it, and he said it's a pandemic. It just
A
it just
pandemic.
keeps going. So anyway, yeah, something's
Well,
got to break on this.
well, I noticed that Kyle Gibson has tossed a couple games for Norfolk. I think he's made 2 starts. Luke, the signing of him was certainly not only necessary, but a little bit prescient on the part
Yeah.
of Mike Elias.
Yeah, when the Orioles signed him, I think you said that that seemed like Grayson Rodriguez insurance. Right now, that seems like everything insurance,
Yeah,
and that's probably not where you want to be. I think his last time out, he threw into the fourth inning, and when he was signed, I think Hyde said that they're thinking around May 1 for him,
yeah,
and I don't think they've backed off that. I think he needs a couple more starts down there,
yeah.
and hopefully, once he's ready to go, he can help the Orioles because they're certainly going to need innings.
Now, I'm not seeing the minor league games, but apparently Braden Young has been pitching pretty well to
Yeah,
date.
Brandon Young. He's another guy who's had 2 Tommy Johns in his back.
Brandon Young, right?
Yeah,
Brandon. I'm
yeah.
sorry.
So he came back from his second Tommy John last year. I think he threw the ball well, and now this is his first full season back from the second Tommy John. He had the first surgery, I think, when he was a younger kid. He was like in high school, maybe. I imagine he will get a major league opportunity at some point this year.
It looks that
What
way.
about McDermott?
He's hurt. I forget. I think I honestly I forget what he's hurt with.
Right,
It's
I
lat
nothing.
forget.
strain.
Uh,
I
it's
forget what he's hurt with, and what was Rogers in? Was that an
Rogers was a
elbow
knee. Uh,
knee?
let me check real quick on McDermott.
I think it
Uh,
said he threw the final week of spring training and was preparing to face live hitters, and it was
no,
a
yeah, you're right, Ross. It's a
Yeah,
lat.
yeah,
So
right lat
the lat.
strain
Okay.
again, another one.
All right. And obviously with Kyle Bradish, it's still a ways off before he's any serious possibility of being
and you
healthy.
can really trace a lot of their pitching funk back to when he got hurt for good. I
Yeah.
mean, he's probably got top 10 stuff among starters in the major leagues.
Yeah.
It's really hard to find someone who can duplicate what he brings to the table. I mean, the night that he got hurt for good against the Phillies, he was throwing 99-mile-an-hour sinkers. And
Yeah,
he's got the changeup darting one way, he's got the breaking balls darting the other way. I mean, and they just haven't been able
He's a
to
top tier
backfill.
talent. He's a top tier talent.
Yeah, they just haven't been able to backfill for the quality of stuff that he brings to the table.
Yeah. The 2 pitchers that, well, it's really 3 that have been healthy so far. Dean Kramer, who probably, other than his third start, has pitched a little better than his results.
Right.
Charlie Morton has been so-so.
He's
That
been pretty
one,
bad.
what's that?
He's been pretty bad.
The one start against Boston where he struck out 10 guys. I wouldn't call that a horrible start. He
it's
made 2
early,
really
guys. It's
bad.
early.
Yeah, he made 2. But the guy who's been really disappointing to me so far, and I wrote about it, Luke, at your suggestion that it's time for Cade Povich. He can't be a kid anymore. And he's not 22. He's 25. He's been through the ringer a little bit uh, last year, and Buck Showalter always warned us about judging players' performance in March and
Hmm.
September when nothing really matters,
Right.
a lot of time. And Povich's 5 starts in September last year were terrific. But the club was still in the playoff hunt, but there wasn't a ton of pressure on him They came out of nowhere because he hadn't looked good in his previous 13 major league starts last year. But in those 5 starts, 0.86 whip, like a 3.10, something like that, 3.20 ERA. And this year had a terrific spring, had only one bad outing down in spring training. And so far, it's not happening.
Well, he's given up a lot of hits,
Yeah.
and yesterday and against the Royals, both games he gave up a lot of hits. So I haven't
He
looked at
deserved
it.
better defensively in that Royals game, but he did still give up 10 hits.
Right. He's missed a fair number of bats, certainly more than some of their other starters can say. I still like the way the arm works. I still think that he could be a number 3 or 4 starter. I agree that we need to see him pitch deeper into games. Yesterday, it seemed like they were pretty aggressive with the hook because they had the off day today, so they
Yeah.
wanted to get the bullpen going early. I understand that, and they didn't want him to face Springer a third time with a right-handed reliever ready to go in Baker. So I get all that. But to your point, this is a huge opportunity for Povich to show that he's a legit major league starter because he's going to get an extended run here
Yeah.
because he's healthy,
Yeah.
at least as far as we know.
And
And
he's not pitching disastrous. I mean, the whip is 180,
right.
but the ERA is not horrible. He's still striking some people out, but he's got to pitch with, I would say, Ross, the word is conviction,
Mhm.
that he needs to pitch
But
with
you
more
know, one of the
conviction.
things that you noticed with the Oriole pitchers, they throw strikes, they get ahead with first pitch. That's the number one thing right there. But once they get there, they have very few swing and misses with their
Mm-hmm.
pitches.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have it when they're ahead in the count. That's when you got to make your pitch. Especially you got to be able to throw balls that look like strikes a lot of times that
That's an
aren't,
excellent
or
point. Excellent
or to
point.
throw a pitch that will set up a next pitch. And I'll tell you, the thing is, it's all about, you got guys that are 40 years old this rotation, and a lot of them, Eflin, Morton, Kramer too, Segura, they're all they have to pitch. They
Mm-hmm.
can't throw. These are not throws. Povich has to pitch. He can't stand out and try to pump balls by guys. And that's where a lot of this, I think, hopefully in Povich's case, he's a pitcher. He has to pitch. He's not going to blow guys away unless, he sets it up to do that at times. And they'll chase the ball up out of the zone. You don't see it that much. They just don't make a lot of good pitches at this particular time of the year. It's early.
I've got to pitch now. I've got to
Okay.
pitch about the Costas Inn. Not pitch. I've got to pitch the
Pitch.
Costas Inn. Located 4100 North Point Boulevard for 53, maybe 54 years. I can never remember the exact year, but either way, Ross and I were a lot younger back when they opened the Costas Inn, and they've been there for a long, long time. They've built up a lot of trust in the community. The outpouring of support for the family when Mr. T passed away was really awe-inspiring to the family, and it's really what's fueled them to continue to give great service, prepare great food, and again, nightly specials Monday through Friday. You can sit down and eat them in the dining room. You can sit at the bar, watch an Orioles game, home game or road game, and eat at the bar. Tremendous specials, and of course, seafood, the great crab cakes, the great steamed crabs, fantastic crab soup, both Maryland and cream of crab soup, and you can split the crab soup. You can have half cream, half Maryland crab soup. So it's all there for you at the Costas Inn. Wonderful atmosphere, hospitality plus at the Costas Inn. We all give them thumbs up at Costas Inn,
Thumbs up.
and and within 2 to 3 weeks, the new Costas, not a new exclusive, it's the second Costas, will be opening at the OTB at Timonium Racecourse. They want to be open for that Kentucky Derby run and the Triple Crown run this season. Big doings with our Triple Crown this year. What is it, Luke? It's at the 150th
Preakness 150. And you can also read about Preakness 150 in the newest edition of Pressbox.
which is
Woohoo.
out, which will be out Wednesday, but it'll probably be out tomorrow.
Our friend Bill Ordine helped me with that story.
Did he?
Yes.
All right, Bill Ordine, the blast out of the past. I love me some Bill Ordine. Um, all right, let's get back to talk a little Orioles baseball. Let's talk about the offense of the team, which has been a little bit hit or miss. Ross, what do you think of the offense so far, and how much does it figure to improve significantly as Gunnar Henderson gets back, it really gets back to being Gunnar Henderson?
He's a big part of it, and that's they're hitting 235 as a team. That's right in the middle, believe it or not. I mean, there's 19 teams hitting under 240, 14
Mm,
of them under 230, and
mm.
10 are hitting under 220. So if that tells you anything about the hitting, and I'll tell you, they got some pitchers around the league that are okay, but it ain't the pitching that's doing this.
Yeah,
So anyway, but the
might
O's,
be time for a Luke Jackson comeback. He's the only one young enough to come back.
you really, but yeah, the O's, they're in the middle of the pack average wise. On base percentage, kind of surprising at that. They're 21st at that. Slugging percentage, they're 13th. They are hitting some home runs, but they don't walk a lot, and and they don't strike out a lot. But they just don't, a little bit. God, if I hear it one more time that that have the worst luck of anybody in the game. Every time something goes bad, God, they're unlucky. They're
Yeah.
unlucky, and the umpire screwed them again. If I hear that one more time, I'm going to lose my mind. But yeah, it's early in the league. The weather's not the greatest. It's cold, rainy, wet a lot of times, even snow. So I think this is something that will pick up as the season progresses. The weather gets warmer because they got some guys that swing the bat, and can get on. And they're not. I don't think they stole a lot of bases. They got the sixth fewest stolen bases, and so I mean everything I think will fall into place, and they're going to score some runs. They just got to find a way to shut the other team down.
Luke,
Yeah, I
the
agree with Ross at over
yeah.
162. They're going to score some runs. They got to figure out this rotation.
Well, when we say figure it out, I wanted to kind of move on from the rotation, but
Yeah.
it's fair game. When you say figure it out, it's not like they're suddenly going to go out and get Corbin Burns now.
That's correct.
Yeah, or anybody else of any note right now.
Right.
That time was the off season. Now until June, you're not picking up anybody of any. Do you
I
think
guess by
the
figure it
Orioles?
out, I mean
Do
that
you
their
think
current starters have to pitch better.
do you think that they should be looking at Spencer Turnbull, for example? It's like the last name out there that's anybody that's done a
I
little
think there's
something at the
probably a lot of
major league.
teams looking at Spencer Turnbull.
Yeah, I would
I
say
would
so.
imagine,
Yeah,
and I also don't think that he's going to be an elixir for anybody. But there are a lot of teams already who need innings.
right.
So I think there are a lot of teams probably kicking the tires on him.
Okay. Uh, but getting back to what you really meant when you said they got to fix this rotation, you and I and Ross know that they're not suddenly going to pick up three new starters tomorrow.
Right.
How do they fix what
Well,
they've got?
I think Ross hit on an important point here about 5 minutes ago when he mentioned that the lack of swing and miss in this staff. And I think as a team, they're 26th or 27th in the league in strikeout rate. And that means that you don't have a ton of room for error. Your margin for error is thin. And that means you got to be a really, really good defensive team.
And we
And,
haven't been up to
and
this
the
point.
Orioles
Right.
have not been a great defensive team so far. So I would say that that's probably the number one thing they could do to help out the starting rotation is cleaning up a little bit defensively.
Yeah,
And they're going to have to be a really good defensive team in order to get to a point in the second half where it still makes sense to improve the rotation and make a run at it. You know what I mean?
yeah.
You know what's another thing that I've watched, the games that I've watched, the catching, blocking balls has been awful.
Atrocious.
Absolutely, and that's being nice, Dan, to say it's atrocious.
Yeah.
But Rushman's a guy that when he came up, his behind the plate work was phenomenal. And he become one of these guys that are just they're doing this, ball right at you. You're taking a swing at it, and balls. And I tell you what, out of 468 games, there's only been 24 pass balls. That is a crock. There's been
Right,
more.
right,
That is
right.
unbelievable.
Well,
And
anything that touches the dirt now is a pass ball. So,
yeah, unbelievable,
yeah,
unbelievable.
not a never a wild pitch, never a
No,
wild.
gosh, no, and that's unbelievable. I mean, what happens is pitchers they become. I'm not going to throw a ball in the dirt because the guy ain't going to catch it.
Right.
So then you start leaving the ball. That's another problem right there for the pitchers. I don't care who you are. If you're a catcher, Dimper always used to say, "Throw the ball. Just throw the curveball. I'll block it." Bench Carter the same way. You didn't even hell. They didn't know where you're going to throw sometimes. But that was I didn't throw that hard. So anyway,
So, so again, getting back to the offense though, for a moment, because we realize it's up to Drew French and his assistant pitching coach to get this thing turned around with the likes of Kramer and Morton and Povich right now, and eventually Kyle Gibson, and Sagano. But let's get to the offense for 1 second. One player who I won't say is shining, but there's glimpses that former number one pick Heston Kjerstad may be on the verge of establishing himself as a major leaguer. Luke, your thoughts on him? I thought the big hit on Saturday was his 2-run homer off of Bowden Francis, who I think had a no hitter at the time
Mhm.
into the 6th inning.
Yeah, this is a huge opportunity for Heston with Colton Cowser not around.
Right.
And to take a term from your story about Cade Povich
Yeah.
today, it's time for Heston to take the bull by the horns. He's another guy who is not young anymore.
Nope.
Heston is 26 years old. It's time for him to establish himself as a regular major league outfielder.
That
Uh,
lineup, though, looks a lot longer and more dangerous when he's hitting the ball.
no question.
Yeah.
He can hit the ball very hard. He can hit the ball a very long way. The question with him as a hitter was always going to be the amount of swing and miss.
Yep.
And how much was he going to swing and miss against major league pitching? And so we're going to find out over these next couple months because it takes a while for a broken thumb to heal. And that's what Colton Cowser has. Now, they're definitely going to take a step back defensively with Heston in left rather than Colton because Colton can really go get him in left. He's got a lot of range, and he made the previous left field at Camden Yards, the big acreage, he made defending that look a lot easier than it is. And when they had Colton and Cedric out there in the outfield,
Not much got through the not
those are
much.
two really good outfielders in terms of range. And we to get back to what we were just talking about, this isn't maybe the same defensive club, which is perhaps hurting the pitchers.
Yeah.
Another thing, Stan and Luke,
Yeah.
that the big talk I know during the offseason was they wanted to take more pitches and walk more. Well, that's not the case. They haven't been walking. They got the third fewest walks. And watching the games and the complaining about the umpires, you hear it all the time. I think that's a big push for the electronic ump, and they're going to have that. But you
Yeah, you're
watch,
gonna
you
get
watch.
eventually you're gonna get 2 whole challenges. Wow.
Oh yeah, really.
So
But I mean,
great.
but you watch the Oriole game. You watch. They're complaining about some of the pitches they're taking. You cannot take with 2 strikes. It's too
Yeah.
close.
Yeah.
You either got to foul it off or put it in play, one of the two. And the people are bitching and moaning about it. And I saw another guy, he missed 20 pitches. No, he didn't. I mean, the pitches are there, and with 2 strikes, you gotta make an effort because if you don't, you're a good chance you're going to be out. And all of this stuff is just absolutely baloney, man. It's just I watch it, it's unbelievable.
All right. Well, this week, the rest of the week, they've got the invasion from Ohio. They've got the Cleveland Guardians in for 3. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then Terry Francona and his recently hot Cincinnati Reds club comes into town. They're back at 500, and the Indians have won, I think, 5 in a row, or 5 out of 6 this last week. They're at 500, I think. This is not going to be an easy week, Luke.
Well, yeah, it's a AFC North type of week in Baltimore, I would say.
Yeah,
Yeah, and so yeah, and but it's a perfect time for the Orioles to get going at home, and when they have a 6-3 lead in the eighth inning, probably good to get to the finish line in those games.
yeah. They got, unfortunately, yesterday they got the bad Gregory Soto came in. That was rough.
What also hurts you, you got Batista. You only go out every other time,
Yeah,
Right,
and
that is
right,
frustrating.
that kills your
right, and
bullpen.
Cano wants that 0-2 pitch to Bichette back. Yeah, Ross was talking about not being able to put away hitters in
Yeah,
two
he
straight
kept it up.
counts.
Yeah,
So he gets ahead, Ross, with two really good sinkers,
Yeah,
and then he tries to bury a slider down and away, which is probably
right.
the right pitch there.
and
He
it
hangs
hung
it.
up.
Yeah.
Hanged it.
Well, that,
All
and
right.
you know what? And this will. It's early in the season. We've seen him make those pitches
Yep.
in the past. I mean, with consistency, and he could. He had the closer ability and stuff. You know, to do a decent job. But it's early. I think these guys will improve all around everywhere. Hopefully.
One of the surprising teams, the Texas Rangers, got off to that great start the first 10, 11 games.
Mhm.
And then this week, I think they were 1-5 or 2-5. But they're already 19 runs. They've scored 19 runs less than they've given up. They've got Semien is hitting about 110. I know this because they're both on my fantasy team. Semien's hitting like 110, and Jack Peterson's hitting about 070 right now. Looks absolutely horrible. Jake Berger's not hitting. They've surprised me that they've hung in there. But one of the things I heard some conversation about is Jacob DeGrom. His fastballs are more like 96, 97 now, not 100, 101.
Yeah,
That's a
that's his
big,
second Tommy John, if I'm not
yeah,
mistaken.
yeah.
Yeah. So I mean,
That's a big difference, though, when
when
you
he's
lose.
right, I think he's the most electric starter in baseball. Maybe
Yeah,
even more so than Paul Skeens when he's
yeah,
right.
yeah.
But
But he
we
may
just
not
have
be, he may not be that guy.
he might not be. Was
He's
there
But,
going
any?
to have to
but
pitch.
he's
He's going to have to
probably good
actually
enough.
pitch.
He's probably good enough to know how to pitch and get around having a 97 for a fastball rather than 101. He might be good enough, but it's a work in progress for him.
Was there anything else in your power rankings when you were doing them last night that kind of surprised you about any of the teams?
Um, no, it was I found it I found getting the top 10 wasn't as easy as it's been in the past. I mean, like the Yankees to me, with what I see on the horizon right now with their starting pitching,
Mm-hmm.
they could have easily dropped to 12th or 13th. You know, the Orioles unfortunately dropped to 16th in my power rankings. They are out now on pressboxonline.com. And the new paper is out this week. And that's going to do it for today. We've been brought to you by our friends at the Costas Inn with 6 thumbs up from the guys here on the Monday Baseball Chats. That does it for this week. We'll be back next Monday and more of the same. Hopefully, better results on the playing field. That does it for today.